I am going to call now on Bev Fisher to introduce our speaker for today. Bev.
Thank you, David. All right, I met Ted Morris, oh gosh, just a few years ago. Rotary Action Group for Peace. And he has been a big supporter of the Peace Bowl event. Actually, we saw each other last week at the Peace Bowl planning and ceremony at Clearwater High School, which was great. Ted was born in Texas, grew up in Tokyo. His parents were Salvation Army missionaries in Japan for 26 years. His family has been associated with the Salvation Army then from the earliest years in England in the 1800s. Ted was commissioned, ordained as a Salvation Army officer, a minister, in 1985, and has served in a variety of appointments in the Salvation Army around the Southeast, including pastoring Salvation Army churches, serving as regional chief financial officer and as a faculty member of the faculty of the Evangeline Booth College. He and his wife, Pamela, who is also a Salvation Army officer, have been privileged to serve in Clearwater for the past 7 years. Ted is director of Salvation Army in North Pinellas. Ted is a graduate of the Leadership Pinellas class of 2020. They call it the COVID class. Is a member of the District 6950 Peace Committee, and is also the immediate past president of Rotary Club of Clearwater. He and Pamela have been married for 39 years and have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. The exclamation mark is the 5th is due in August. That's the most important thing I read. All right, Ted. We're so glad to have you. Let's greet Ted.
The Peace Bowl event at Clearwater High School was a great event last week, and it's interesting because having been raised in Japan, I've been to Hiroshima, where the very first Peace Bowl in the world was established. I was too young to know what a Peace Bowl was back then when I was there, but it was interesting to learn that it was started in Japan after the atomic bomb there. So, where's Chuck? Yeah, I don't have the loquacious contusions he had when he put those letters together, so it's going to be kind of boring for that. But I've been asked to speak a little bit about the Salvation Army. It is a joy to be with you. I love doing this, so thank you for allowing me to come. Who are we? Why do we wear the funny clothes? And why we call it a Salvation Army? Most people, when we ask what the Salvation Army does or what it is, they think of that little red bucket. The Christmas carols, we raise about $300,000 in both Pinellas County through that little red bucket. The bucket's been around, our kettle's been around for over 100 years, started in San Francisco, and it's still very much the Salvation Army, one of the iconic things of the Salvation Army. And we are so thankful and honored that we can have someone stand out in front of a store, ring a little bell, and people entrust us with their resources. And often those who give to us are those that can least afford to do so. But it's our second largest fundraiser event for this area is our Little Red Bells. And also, you think of the family stores where you buy furniture and donate furniture and clothing. In this area, if you call a truck to come pick up your furniture, your clothing, the driver is an employee of ours. However, the man riding along is part of our substance abuse recovery program. The recovery program is located in St. Paul. It's a 6-month program free of charge, and is totally funded through donations of clothing and furniture that you may give to the Salvation Army. They go to our family stores, we refurbish them and we'll fix them and we screen them, and our men will fix them up. And then part of their therapy is work therapy, teaching them how to get up on time, teaching them how to have a job. And so the man that will help our driver there is usually a man in our program. And that's totally funded through when you call it to have the truck come pick it up in the area. That's not always the case around different Salvation Armies around the country. That's the case here in this area. Who are we? Well, the Salvation Army is an international movement. It's an evangelical part of the Universal Christian Church. As is mentioned, my wife Pamela and I are both ordained ministers in the Salvation Army. Our message is based on the Bible. Our ministry is motivated by the love of God. And our mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs in his name without discrimination. That's our international mission around the world, and we strive for that. People know about what we try to do to help people, but it all comes out of our faith. Our faith is what drives us. I was called by God to serve in this way as my wife is, and everything that we do is based upon our faith. So what do we do? Where did it come from? A guy by the name of William Booth, here he is. He was a Methodist minister in Victorian England, and he lived in the east side of London, the slum area, and he noticed that this is during the time when there were children working in factories. Boys 5 and 6 year old were alcoholics. There was human trafficking. There was a lot of drugs that were happening in that time. And he said, I've got to do something to help fix society, to fix the people, to help them out. And so he began preaching on the street corners, and people found their faith through his preaching because he was, again, a minister. And then people would say to him, well, what do we do now? We found our faith. He would say, well, go to church, and you'll be able to worship, there. Well, back in that era, the local churches were only for those who could smell good and look nice, and they had little doors on the pews. Their families would pop by the pews. So street people went in there, they didn't feel comfortable. And so they came back to him and they says, we don't feel good in those churches. So he said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll rent out places that you go to. I'll rent out bowling alleys. I'll rent out skating rinks. I'll rent out pubs where you go to, and we'll have church there. And that's kind of how the Salvation Army became a church, through the ministry of William Booth, to try to address the social ills of that day. And of course, nowadays around the world, the Salvation Army is still involved in human trafficking, in substance abuse recovery, and in providing help to children. In 1917, when World War I started in France, our national director, her name was Madison Booth. She was the daughter of our founder. She was in charge of the United States in the Salvation Army. She went to General John Pershing and said, where do you want my women to be? Because we're going to go to the front lines and help out. And he said to her, he said, General, he says, or Pershing says, we have enough people. We don't need your people. She says, no, I'm not asking you if I can go. I'm asking you where to go. And so she was someone you didn't mess around with. So he sent her to the front lines of France. So many of our ladies went there, and they were in the ditches, and they said, what can we do to help our servicemen? And so they found pieces around there. And so they started making donuts, and they made donuts by the thousand. They weren't the best tasting donuts, but when you're in the front line, who cares? and these are an actual photograph of our donut girls, and they made them out of lard. It could have been lard, and they would cook the donuts in the helmets of the men. And they would use different pieces they would find in the ditches. They found a part of a coffee maker to make the holes. They found pipes and things they would use to cut these donuts out. And it really became an almost iconic thing for the Salvation Army. That kind of began the disaster services that we do. Formerly in the United States, our disaster services began in 1900 with a hurricane that hit Galveston, Texas. And so we felt we could try to go in there and help. So you know about this one, Hurricane Milt is the one that we were intimately involved with here. And in this area, when Hurricane Milt was over in the Yucatan Peninsula, the Salvation Army in this county and the state was already having statewide phone calls saying, it's coming our way, what do we do? And so we have a number of food trucks. We have about 40 food trucks in the state of Florida, have about 500 around the country. And so they were deployed to Florida. Many of them were deployed to Florida. But as you recall, Hurricane Helene caused a lot of damage in Georgia and in the Carolinas. So many of our trucks had to go to the Carolinas, Georgia. So we had a team that came all the way from New York, and some from Canada came down actually to the Clearwater area to serve in the wake of Hurricane Milt. This is our team who served. We served at our facility on the Druid Road here in Clearwater. And the team there they're having their morning meeting each morning. They had a portable boardroom where the administration worked out of. They were here about 2 weeks. Usually we're deployed for 2 weeks for disaster services. And over here you'll see our canteens, our food trucks. We had about a dozen of them that served out of this area. In Pinellas County, we served about 121,000 meals, hot and cold meals. The whole area about 130,000. Pinellas County, about 31,000 meals we served in the wake of the hurricane. So we do a lot of disaster services. My wife and I are on call 24 hours a day to be deployed either locally. I've served up in the Panhandle when the hurricanes would hit the Big Bend area. My wife has served in the Carolinas. I've served also in Louisiana. And so these food trucks are able to serve 1,000 meals a day. They're stocked, and so they usually can go within about 2 hours of ready to deploy. And we have large ones that serve many meals. We also have, let me show you something real quick. A great partnership with the Baptist Church. And so we worked with Pastor Billy Rice at Calvary, and he brought a team in from Louisiana. That what they do is they prepare large-scale food. So in the partnership with the Baptist Church around the country, this team came in, they provided the food, our food trucks went to Calvary, picked up the food, and our job was to distribute the food. Our role in the disaster time is to provide food in the areas where people have no power, because they can't serve, they can't fix their food, they have no power. So when power starts coming on, then we're able to pull out. We were here about, like I said, 2 weeks, about 3 weeks. We had a second team that was here the third week as well. So it's a great partnership. We're learning the importance of partnerships with other organizations. And so with the Baptist Church was a great one. These are our units we have. This one in the lower left-hand corner is the one that we have here in Pinellas County. We're having a new one in St. Pete. The upper right-hand corner is one of 2 tractor trailers that we have in Florida. They can serve about 10,000 meals per day. And so they were deployed in the case of the hurricane as well. So we're poised to serve in any way that we can through disaster services. This picture was taken after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando back in 2016. My wife and I were stationed in Orlando at that time. And when we heard about that disaster, we called the county mayor and the city mayor and said, we are available to serve food if you need. And they said, we do need you. So they allowed us to go into the very highly secure area about a block from the Pulse nightclub. We served about 9,000 meals for about 6 days, mainly to those in the lab, the DEA, the medical examiner's office, a lot of public officials who came down, and we also served we had a tent where people would come in to kind of have some respite between the job of working there. Also at the stadium there, we provided assistance directly to the families who were affected. We provided, one of our advisory board members owns Golden Corral, so he would provide his dining room free of charge for families to have family dinners there as they were saying farewell to their loved ones. The Salvation Army works in 133 countries around the world. We started in England, that's where William Booth was from. And as you heard, I grew up in Japan, my parents were there. And so we are able to serve all over the world. And the interesting thing when it comes to disaster services is when a disaster hits a part of the world, we don't have to find teams to come from the United States or England to go there. We already have teams in place. Some years ago, there was a tsunami that hit Indonesia and India on Christmas Day, I believe it was, and killed hundreds and hundreds of people. We had Salvationists there serving the families within hours of that tsunami. So we have that all over the world. Teams are ready to serve. Just some numbers I'll throw at you real quickly here. Around the world, we have over 15,000 clergy, again, because we're a church. About 1.8 million church members. These are young members and adult members of our church, as you would be members of your own places of worship. Over 109,000 employees, 3,700 homeless shelters, 180 residential addiction recovery centers, one being in St. Pete and one being in Tampa. We used to have programs for women here, but that no longer exists, but we have programs for men. We have 27 general hospitals. People often don't know that. Mainly in India and Africa, we have hospitals that are specialized to certain types of disease, but also general hospitals. 2,500 schools, from kindergartens to vocational schools, either manned by people in the Salvation Army, directed by the Salvation Army. We have one school in Kingston, Jamaica. This is for those who are facing blindness. And so they teach them a skill. And so it's a school for the blind in Kingston. And the missing person is interesting, I think, because we have found 2,800 missing people throughout the world. What happens is because we have people all over the world, if someone, anyone in the world is trying to find a family, let's say you're estranged from a family member, and so you can come to the Salvation Army for a one-time fee, maybe I think it's $50. We can use our people around the world to find that person for you. Now, we don't do adoption cases, we don't do divorce cases, nothing like that. But if you have a family member you're trying to find, we can help you. Now, sometimes we found that the member doesn't want to be found. They may want to be on their own. And so when we find them, we ask them, do you want, your family's looking for you, do you want to let them know that you're okay? Sometimes they'll say, I don't want to be in touch with my family, but let them know I'm fine. So we've done that before as well. So because we're international, we're able to do that. It started again way back in the 1800s when families would move from the rural part of England to London to work, and they would lose track. And so that's a program that we've had for over 150 years, is finding people, family members. This is our facility here in Clearwater. This is our church, our administrative offices. We're located on Belcher Road, right between Sunset Point and Northeast Coachman, right next to the Long Center, that area. It's about 40,000 square feet.
My office is here, our administrative offices are here, our church is here. Our church is open to anybody. You're free to come if you want to come worship with us or just come observe. One thing unique about the Salvation Army Church is that we have a brass band. We have, as in the Salvation Army, these are members of our church who choose to play, 35, 40 people. Some of them, we have one who's a composer. He composes works for high schools around the world and for professional bands. We have former music teachers, but all members of the Salvation Army who do so voluntarily. This is our congregation. We also have for our children, children who are involved in our church, or any child at all, we have a free school of music. We have about 100 students there now. And in fact, we meet tonight. And so we teach them guitar, brass, keyboarding, vocal. We have representatives from Ruth Eckerd Hall, professional actors who are teaching acting. We teach also worship dance. And all the instructors are either volunteer or they're people that we pay to come help. And so some of these children we've seen grow up. One young man started, he was at junior high, and now he's graduated from high school. He hopes to go into music professionally. And so we're just really proud of that program, the School of Music that we have. They have a concert twice a year when the children will play and sing. Our other facility is on Druid Road, right? Druid and Highland in Clearwater. This is where people come for help. We provide help in the way of food. We have 2 mobile food pantries. People just drive up, we give them bags of food, no questions asked. We also provide help with rent and utilities. And of course, nowadays, we know the crisis in utility and the cost. The cost of rent is some $2,000 a month in Pinellas County for a 1-bedroom. And so we try to help them with that. This is a playground for those that live there. We house about 15 homeless mothers and their children with us. And this is the inside of one of their apartments. We call this Hope Crest. Some years ago, we had a program where it was transitional housing. They'd be with us 1 month. We felt that that was just simply putting off the inevitable. They'd be homeless again. So we decided to do a 2-year program where a family can come live with us for 2 years. The mother has to be in education, so a lot of them go to P-Tech or to SPC and other colleges. Most of them receive some type of a medical degree or certification, med tech or radiology tech. Registered nurses as well. And then once they finish their 2 years with us, we don't charge them rent. We charge them $300 a month just to help pay for utilities. So it lifts the burden of rent they would have otherwise. And so we have to have children there because children can see that their moms can move outside of the trap of poverty. And so that's a program. We had one young lady just recently who graduated with a degree, an RN degree. Her daughter also has a free ride to every rental as a aeronautic person. And so to see that happens is exciting for us. These are just some of the places that live. We have 15 apartments. Thanksgiving time, we give out about 13,000 frozen turkeys. We have one donor who's chosen to do this for 25 years now. She started out with six turkeys on the back of her Camaro. And so every year her birthday is Thanksgiving. She said, I want to give more. Last year was 13,300 turkeys. And that's an awful lot of birds. And she wants us to make sure that everyone gets a bird who needs one. So we give them out to agencies, to organizations, and we move them out on 2 days before Thanksgiving. It's a drive-through. They drive through, I call it the NASCAR pit road. They pull in 6 cars, our volunteers place turkeys in them. Also, we have the fixins as well. The donor provides all the turkeys, and also we provide some of the fixins and she provides the rest of them. And we're able to provide a turkey meal for probably some 13,000 turkeys, probably almost 40, 50,000 people when you include family members. We have a great event called the Gingerbread Decorating Party, Gingerbread House Decorating Party. It raises money for our residential program for the women and children. And it takes place at the Bellevue Inn at the Galveston Country Club. We provide the gingerbread houses, and then we provide all the fixtures to decorate them. It's a contest. It takes 2 hours, and we're packed out every year for some of the women in town and the men, actually. It begins their Christmas season. It takes place the Thursday after Thanksgiving, and there's awards and prizes. It's a great fun time, and it's we raise about $50,000 a year for our homeless women program. Christmas time, we give out toys to children through the Angel Tree program. Many organizations have Angel Tree programs, so we'll give toys to some 3,000 children of age of birth or pre-birth to about age 12 or 13. Lots of volunteers to help with that. That's just where we stack them up there. This is some numbers. 1,800 people receive gifts through, and seniors are the Silver Bells program. Angel Tree is children. We visit nursing homes at the season, also 13,000 turkeys. So in our church service 10:45 every Sunday morning, we have Bible studies, we have youth activities, we provide assistance, supportive housing for the mothers and children I talked about. Pathway of Hope is simply a program where we provide help for families who are living in crisis in their own homes. Work along with them, make sure that they're moving forward, and we help them better themselves. And then I talked about the rehabilitation program for men. Some of our staff came up with this little sticker. It's a QR code that we believe prayer is so important, so we have them on our cars. So if anyone needs prayer, all you just click on that QR code, it automatically goes to a website that we have, and people request prayer either anonymously or they ask for to be contacted, and our staff will do that for them. This is the last slide, and this kind of encapsulates, I believe, what the Salvation Army is a founder, our quote from one of our founder. He said this 130 years ago. While women weep as they do now, he said, I'll fight. While little children go hungry as they do now, I'll fight. While men go to prison, in and out, as they do now, I'll fight. While there's a drunkard left, while there's a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I'll fight. I'll fight to the very end. So we call ourselves the Salvation Army because we're fighting a war against sin, against the evils of society, against homelessness, substance abuse, human trafficking, and all those things. That's a battle we fight. That's why we wear the uniform. And that's why we're called the Salvation. Thanks for your time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Years ago, somebody got me involved with studying on these.
Yes, and that's something we watch very carefully. On here. We are very careful about that, and we all know to run any organization that it does take administrative costs. We do have administrative costs. Nationwide, we try to have administrative costs no more than 12 to 15%. That means that 85% or so, or more or less, depending on the location, goes directly to the services that we provide. So we shoot for 85 to 88% generally to the service. So thank you for asking that. Anyone else? Be here afterwards, so feel free to catch me if you have any questions.
Great.
Thanks again.
Again, thank you. Thank you for being here.